Everything that you do, we do it with service, really like a servant's heart, like really providing value. And whatever that is, I think if you start from there, you really lead from that point, you'll attract the right people into your life.
So back in the late 2000s, the 2010s, Nordstrom was peak shopping for Baltimore City. If you had any kind of taste, any kind of style, and a couple dollars, you went to Nordstrom's for the weekend to get your fit off. Okay. And one of my best friends worked there, and he introduced me to one of his really good friends, and then we became friends. But I would always see this guy when I went into Nordstrom. He was suited up, fresh to death, selling women's shoes. Now, I don't know if you know anything about women's shoes, but they move units. So I know he was doing well and resources, and he took that salesmanship and all of that style and moved it into the real estate space. And he's been on the top producers for 2 years in a row, the top 500. My man Gabriel Dutton. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate you, man.
Quintel, I appreciate you having me, man, and thanks for the generous intro, man. Nordstrom was a great time. Learned
Yeah,
a
man.
lot of skills and service oriented gems. So man, it was great time all the way around.
So let's start. I'm gonna start here. By the end of this episode, what's one thing you think you can share about, even just your experience from like Nordstrom going into real estate, anything that you think that you know people to get value from?
I would say everything that you do, we do it with service, really like a servant's heart, like really providing value. And whatever that is, I think if you start from there, you really lead from that point, you'll attract the right people into your life.
Got you, got you. Good. That's a good start because people need to know that everybody needs to make money, but business is about service, right? It's just business is really just the idea to help somebody else get what they want. Like you just create value out of kind of thin air and put it together and offer it to people. So I want to start. Let's start with service in the real estate space. So like I knew you were doing real estate, but my first touch point for you is Nordstrom. So what kind of sparked or inspired the transition from where you were to where you are now?
Sure, sure. So even before going to Nordstrom, I always knew I wanted to invest
Okay.
in some way. Real estate was always interesting from a family dynamic. Everyone, the kind of my family always it was very much a sense of pride, of ownership, and where you live. And there was also investment that was made, and it seemed like an intentionality. And I didn't
Hmm.
know that I was unconsciously kind of gravitating towards that space. So that was always on my mind. And then having a finance background in George Mason, it was real estate just turned out to be like a blend of some of that service and investment. And I saw a online ad, and a friend of mine also saw a similar ad to get your real estate license. And
Okay.
it's like, hey, don't know which direction to move into, but you know, $200 doesn't sound like a bad investment of time or money into, moving in some direction, which is different, it seems promising. So that's kind of how I got into it, not knowing the path, just moving in the right direction and investing in myself, which I guess turned out okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. So you invested in yourself. Everybody, that's something that most entrepreneurs understand and agree with, right? You got to invest in yourself. Sometimes people are hesitant about it, but when you really like weigh it out, like the $200 you spend now versus the potential upside, right? Even if you fail, you understand what you could probably look back and see what you did wrong, or if you do something good, then and you succeed, then you know what you did right. So taking that step, I commend you for that, right? Because right now you're successful, but you could have talked to a bunch of other your homies and they probably wouldn't want to put that 200 up, right?
Right, right. That's a fact. That's a fact. That's a
So
fact.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was a fact, and I think everybody you get to a space where it's like when you fed up, like for example that $200, like you go out, you party, have a great meal, you get some drinks, have fun and stuff like that, but you know it's hollow at the end of the day. All that stuff is ephemeral and it just don't last. So it's like, well, I spent $200 and I have something that's lasting. So
Yeah. Yeah,
um,
you always got
yeah,
that license. Yeah. So now you got your license, you're doing real estate. I want to fast forward to now. What's
yeah.
working? What's working in the market? I know I don't know. I know what the politics say, I know what the news say, but I don't know what the actual market is saying, right? The market dictates what moves. So what's actually working in the realtor space and real estate?
Yeah, I think what's, is interesting. What's working now is I think will always work. And yet, when markets are faster, it's easier to get away from the fundamentals. I'm a big believer that, you master the fundamentals, you get nice with your fundamentals,
Hmm.
and that'll take you through, and it also gives you consistency. So again, like starting from service, right? Providing value, and that's, both on the buyer and seller side. Value is one, being knowledgeable of your market, and that's trends, interest rates, all those things from, providing value to a buyer before they step into like the purchase process. And from a seller's perspective, that value is also, understanding the market in the same way. What do buyers want? Days on market. What must you do in order to maximize your asset before presenting it to all the buyers? And really being a fiduciary for both sides, buyers and sellers, like, having that conversation, deep needs analysis about, okay, what's a win for you in this scenario, and how can I bring you to that win? So slowing down, being truly that, and I mean like truly that for clients, and it tends to afford you my opportunities to work, and that's what it's about. Like in my space, like how can you stay employed? Because I always joke sometimes,
Right.
like once I help somebody buy or sell, now I'm unemployed, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
to some degree. So my business is like all repeat and referral. So every time I help someone, it's like, okay, well, can you help me get reemployed? And your service and all of that helps you to stay employed.
So for a lot of businesses that rely on referrals, it's kind of chaotic for them. It's very up and down, right? And it can be challenging. So like, have you experienced challenges like that, and how do you kind of make it more consistent? Like the actual things you do other than being like, having offering great service and managing
Hmm.
like relationships
Of
at a high
course.
level. How do you go about that?
Yeah. That's a really good point, because we all go through those ebbs and flows, right? And being in this for 10 years now, almost 10 years now, I've really found that as opposed to just being like a quote unquote salesperson, developing skills, right? What skills that kind of translate into problem solving abilities for your clients, right?
Mm,
So for me, it was okay. Well, you can open a bunch of doors and just take clients on appointments all day, right? But does that really solve a complex problem for them? For
mm.
some people, yes, and then some people, no, right? So as opposed to just being that in a way, like, okay, I'm helping everybody, first time home buyers buy a home, like I've really started, not really, but from the beginning, I've learned about, values and investment. That way I can solve those investment challenges for clients who use real estate as, a tool for retirement, you know, equity growth, as opposed to just like their primary residence. So I've broadened essentially my client base, as opposed to just folks that looking to buy and sell primary residence. Now I fully service clients that invest. And you talked about like kind of the ebbs and flows. People that invest, people that think about these things as tools, never stop. Essentially,
Yeah, there
you
go your
know,
repeat
they
customers right
never
there.
they never stop, right? Because they're always looking for, okay, I have my primary residence, but I'm always looking for the next opportunity, and that never shuts off, right?
Mhm.
So if you can, you can provide value in that way, be an advisor, and have that down, you'll have opportunity there as well. So that is what I unconsciously and now also consciously keep as a lever in my business, because you know the news may say interest rates are high, so it's not the best time for a person to buy their primary resident home. But also, in the same time, inventory creeps up, and then it's a good time for an investor because deals are there to be had. So when one is down, the other is likely a little, in the opposite direction up. So it gives you more opportunities on both sides. So
So you always schooling me on some of this stuff because I'm not big into real estate. But basically, but I'm always thinking about business. So it sounds like you
Yeah.
understand real estate as a product, not just a service. So like you said, a lot of times will see a lot of people who help clients get their first time home buyers or like residential sales or whatever. But the you understand more of the industry of real estate itself and how real estate can be a tool for different means of generating money for other people or wealth generation for different clients. So they have investment properties and all that type of stuff. So you see it, you understand it now. Like the game slowed down so much for you, you see it like a product now.
Right, and right, exactly. Like that's a great, way to put it. I like to think that I interpret the product at a higher level
There
than
you
maybe
yep.
your average person. You know what I mean? So telling you, okay, well, these are your opportunities now. And it's, we're fortunate in the sense that real estate exists. It's very physical.
Yeah.
These are the opportunities now based on, some of those macro, you know, some of those macro kind of factors. This is the product now. This is how you navigate that now. So
So what's some of the what's some of the challenges you kind of experience right now in the business? Like you have a having a elevated view of what's happening and how things are moving. Like you said, you solve problems for your clients, but what's some of your problems? Like what's some of the things that you wish like I wish I didn't have this happening in this actual job. Like what's some of those things for you?
yeah, yeah. So I think a lot of like in terms of like leverage to do some of like what I call like office work, right?
Hmm.
Communication with clients, and some of those communications are pretty consistent and predictable. Being able to replicate my knowledge and create a system that delivers, you know, you know, scenario specific advice or just updates based on the knowledge that I have up here, and do that across, multiple clients in groups. So, you got folks who are looking for, vacation rentals, multifamily, single family investments, primary residence in this county, in this town, that type of stuff. So, multiplying myself and delivering my unique knowledge in all of those scenarios.
That's
That's
interesting
a bit
because
of a challenge because it's time consuming, because it's time consuming.
yeah, yeah, that's interesting because I know that you have to have the sorry, that's how you know it's live. A lot of people who are like professionals and work in the service space, their value is their knowledge. Now, it's interesting you say that because I it sounds like it's an opportunity for you to replicate yourself using like you have to have some kind of communication and people want to communicate with you, but they need to know something very specific. And I didn't realize that it could be categorized like how you just said. Some people want to know more about like travel homes or commercial real estate or residential homes or whatever the topic may be. You may have understanding of all of it, and I'm not sure how big your list of clients or potential clients are, but do you have them grouped like kind of do you already have them categorized like as far as like your email list or like whatever your CRM is?
I do. I have them categorized. Some people are in multiple categories, but yes, generally I have them. I have them categorized, and
Nice.
it's really just, and there's so many. I have them categorized, and yet it's still a lot of systems that should be in place to kind of service the hyper local markets that each individual is in. So let's just say somebody's interested in multifamily homes, right? But somebody may say, well, I only want multifamilies that are, in relative close proximity to medical institutions. Okay, well, I got to create that list of properties near those medical institutions that are multifamily. But then you have that person within in that group that says, "Hey, I only want I only want two doors, meaning like a duplex essentially."
Yeah,
And this
yeah.
person wants, "I want 5 to 7 in that space." And
Hmm.
then this other person would say, "Hey, I have a cash flow requirement of just use some generic stuff. Hey, at least 300 to $400 per door."
Gotcha.
And I got some other folks who are just looking at from like a appreciation play. It's like, hey, I would want that multifamily, but I want to add value opportunity. The cash flow, it's cool, and I love that. And yet, I want to force some appreciation with improvements in order to get that long term equity growth. So having like being able to create those subcategories and then create all the possible combinations of smaller categories in those categories is a
Is that
challenge.
something? Is that something that you and your team have to do? Like you guys have to manually do that?
Yeah, it is. It is, and that's a challenge because it takes time. Let's just say I have a conversation with you, and you tell me all your unique details. You'll be in this general group, but I'll have to
Mhm.
really kind of hone in on some of those unique details. And everybody knows like a lot of like well Baltimore is like block to block, right?
Mm,
Values change, its vibes change very quickly. So it's very hard to use like a generic kind of like algorithm and say like all this like 4 block radius. 4 block radius can mean like everybody knows like this 2 blocks is different from this 2 blocks. So
yeah,
it takes
yeah.
it takes time and it's constantly updating too when properties penned or penned meaning go under contract or they close.
Mm. It sounds like it's an opportunity for somebody to make some software that can automate probably 80% of that. And the
Yeah.
top 20% would be you looking the 20% that you or your team would be doing would be looking at where the actual location. So like the analytical stuff, the size of the property, the amount of doors, the cost, the opportunity value, like the opportunity for it to go in value, I guess is different based on what they invest, right? So maybe you don't add that in, but it has a yard, it has this, so some of the potential things that it does, and then like location, so proximity to whatever the client might be looking for, but you would still come in and look and be like, well, now that I got the address, I already know it fit the category of these things, is it livable or is it to their
Mm.
liking? And because you know that you know them, you got that relationship. Now you can just look in the database and be like, all right, look at this address. I already know it. Check off these things, and then my expertise says, don't move on that block or don't buy property on that.
Right.
At least not right now.
Right.
Wait for that development up the street to come.
Right.
Then it's going to give you the value you want. But in the meantime, in between time, you don't have to spend all of the time. And I imagine that probably can be templated. I'm just speaking on what I've seen lately
Yeah.
because it's like I don't know if you know, but so in ChatGPT, they have apps now, right? So you can
Mm.
type directly into ChatGPT and make a reference to a certain app, and it'll bring the app up. Zillow is one of the first apps. So you could say,
Mm.
show me your property in Zillow, and Zillow pops up natively in ChatGPT. You don't even have to leave out of ChatGPT and log on, right? So now all of the search capability and the same data is inside of ChatGPT. It'll give you a window. It'll show you the home and the map and all of that good stuff. So now that they can get
Yeah.
that granular, I'm sure you can probably break that out into something where you can customize it, or you could probably use it. This is like nerd talk, but so tell me when to shut up. But you could probably use like Zillow PI and build it out that way.
Mm.
Like I'm not saying you source everything from Zillow,
Mm.
but you can pull all the information you need for the properties that make sense for your clients from Zillow, but package it in a way that works for you and your team to process it and understand if it's a good investment for them. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that
No,
was
that's no, that's great insight. And it's funny, I use chat in OpenAI and I use that probably less than 30 minutes ago. Zillow in like it comes up as just one of the
you used it
apps.
already. See, my man be on it. That's what I'm
Yeah,
talking
I use it and it's so interesting like
about.
and
And
think about
about
and think about this and hopefully maybe it's something you come up with because it's your bag. So I use Zillow a lot for the data. Now for the real estate agent, like our primary source is like through Bright MLS. It's a multiple listing service. So, all the brokers upload properties to this platform, right? And Zillow is one of the syndicates from that platform. So
okay.
Zillow gets everything from Bright MLS. If chat was linked to Bright MLS, that would be even better because it would be more accurate and more timely. But one thing that I hope somebody comes up with is when you're searching for those products, like for real estate, the platform is the MLS, the platform is Zillow, and the products are the properties.
Mhm.
A lot of the product gets traded outside of those platforms that you never see.
Yeah.
So like a part of like what I offer a lot of my investor clients is like, hey, yeah, there's properties that will trade from wholesalers, direct to sellers that'll never hit MLS, but will be represented on public, on public data and
Yeah.
SStat and so forth. So being able to analyze which properties are likely to sell and then have the contact information for the owners so you can potentially reach out to them directly and add that as another lever to get some of the assets that you're looking for. So
You know what I
I see
think?
a space for that. I see a space for that. Definitely.
You know what I just thought of? Because I was talking to somebody else in the real estate space, and they on the wholesaling side. So like they
Hmm.
have to go out. That's the relationship side of it, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
they told me like they were a part of like neighborhood associations and stuff like that. Now, if
Hmm.
I this is me today, right? This is not me even yesterday because I didn't even think about this until now.
Hmm.
Say you had like kind of a larger real estate firm where you had more of a marketing budget, not like you're not an independent shop.
Hmm.
You could possibly, and people may do this, right? Because I'm new, I don't know anything about it, but you could possibly sponsor a lot of local things, just like very grant, like very local community based things, right? That way you
Hmm.
always have access to what's happening in that, because real life happens. So somebody, family member, may pass the home along through different means, like they don't want the house anymore. Unfortunately, somebody may pass away. You're never going to know that. And in some communities,
Hmm.
don't want homes sold or don't want like not the two communities over from me, like they try to the neighborhood association tries to make sure that that home gets sold off market to somebody that they know, or they'll recommend it out to the neighbors to get it sold so that it doesn't hit MLS and then bring in neighbors like just anybody, right? And so
Hmm.
I'm like, well,
Hmm.
how can you get closer to the people? It's that's not digital. That's not digital. Like you really got to mix it up. And I'm just thinking in terms of like human connection, but it's still a it's still a financial type of thing. So like you're sponsoring it, so you're building trust with that community because the transaction is hopefully they give you first dibs on whatever properties pop up, the off market type of properties and stuff like that. Or you could be a high rolling individual realtor where you just got that kind of bankroll and you just like, no, I'm just gonna keep investing here. My man over here, I'm just keep working with him and that type of thing. But that's
Yeah.
interesting. I like the
Yeah, that's
downside.
like I said, that's a good point. And some folks do those things. And I have some of those relationships too, where it's like you may get calls and notifications when possible opportunities are there, and you may have insight to them beforehand. And that's like the goal right there. But like I said, how do you use technology? How do you use AI to put yourself in the forefront of all those opportunities?
Yeah.
Um, in its ways, and I'm sure there's better ways than I've utilized, and I'm looking forward to do that.
Yeah, I guess that social media has helped a lot with that. That allow realtors to be seen a lot by people that would never see them that are even still within close
Mhm.
proximity, right? Before IG,
Sure.
you would never know that certain homes. We never would have seen what the inside of Kevin Spacey house looked like down there at the
Right.
harbor, the joint that you did, right? We would have never seen that.
Yeah.
We would never known that if it
Yeah.
wasn't for
Yeah.
social media, right? Only people who got $1 million
Hmm.
plus would have access to that brochure, right? But
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
get to show.
And
You
it,
get,
like I said, 917 Valencia, I have that listed. So if
yep.
somebody wants to be nearby that house,
Hey, come
they
on
can,
now. There you go.
yeah,
There you
they just
go.
shout that out.
Yeah. So tell me about the actual business process. Like this is the part where I want you to maybe share something with an up and coming realtor who's like, you said you always been in the game 10 years. This is one thing that I've noticed, and this is not a knock, it's just something I noticed in conversation. Like I know that you do
Hmm.
this full time. And it's a long game. Like the sales cycle can be quite long for selling a home, right? It's worth it, but it could be kind of long. So a lot of people in the real estate space, they do a lot of other things. So what do you think would be some
Hmm.
of the things they can do to kind of help them maintain, like keep ground in the space, start to get leverage? Like, what are some of the smaller tactical things they can do to try to get longevity so that they can actually, so they can be a top 500 seller? Like, you gotta let them know,
Yeah.
man.
So like you mean like do like on like to sustain long term
Yeah, is it
or
like any
to
kind
some
of
or,
grounding, like
yeah.
foundational business things that you know about the space that can be helpful?
Yeah, yeah. So I'll go at it from two perspectives. So I
Okay.
think one of the things is just to have some brutal awareness of is the sales cycle is longer, especially if you're coming from like a W-2 environment where you may be getting paid every 2 weeks or every week. Oh yeah, it's
Mm,
a lot longer than that. From the point of connection. On average for me, I keep track of these things and it varies, but from the point of connection for someone who is, let's just say interested and capable. or has a wherewithal to, make a purchase or sell, that's on average like 6 to 8 months from the
Okay.
first connection. That's on average
Hmm.
from 6 and 8 months to a point where there is there's an event where a commission is earned, where compensation is earned. And that process is on average 30 to 60 days beyond that. So we're looking at about 8, 9 months to
Hmm.
receive some compensation truly. So just being aware of that. So once you're aware of that, then you may start to develop certain habits in terms of consuming and spending money because like, oh, it's going to be a minute before a check lands if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So just being aware of that, and then your action should change. One thing that I really thought was like that's helpful for me is that I also invest. So I'm looking at opportunities just like my clients to generate additional revenue. I think of being a realtor as a fiduciary and helping folks solve problems. Why not solve my own problems as well? I actually need to. Like, I need to solve for retirement. I need to solve for kids' college. I need to solve for all of these things. And these products that I help interpret, can do just that. So I think if you're also, thinking of yourself as an entity, as an investment, you'll have potential revenue from that space as well when those opportunities arise. And you'll be able to, you know, earn, compensation for servicing folks, acquire these products, these assets. So it's almost like you got like a part-time job, which is also a full-time job. So you really got two full-time jobs. So, and if those things happen the way they're supposed to happen, you should generate enough revenue to sustain, in theory, if
Yeah.
you're true in that. I mean, Kiss says it's like, there's no benefits, and I'm paraphrasing, there's no benefits for part time, right? For full time and all of it, like you're listening. I mean, your eyes are open for all opportunities for yourself and your clients. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I like that. I like
find
that.
another part time that's a full time too. You know,
Hmm.
so
Yeah,
yeah.
you gotta filter all of the real estate information coming in for either yourself or for, like you said, potential clients. I like that. I never even thought about that because I always
Yeah, yeah.
hear it from the consumer side. It's either the person trying to sell you the house. And we forget that you guys actually investing. I mean, y'all got first dibs anyway. So it's like you the producer on the track. You could keep that beat if you want yourself. You
Am
know?
I going to keep this one? Am I going to rhyme over this one?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, exactly, exactly.
so yeah. So and I think, like you said, it just really. I think once you get into this space, and I think it was just a blessing that I thought about investing initially. That's how I kind of
Hmm.
got into it. For my clients, for myself, I think of everything as an investment for them. And then it's like you have the database of people. What person does this investment match with?
Hmm.
Is it John? Is it Jane? Is it Gabe? They all work for someone. Now, do you have the right relationship with that someone to now connect with?
Gotcha. And that's
Um,
where relationships come in at.
right, there's a billion people here.
Hmm.
There's more than enough. You just like, how many people are you going to connect with? How do you intend on connecting with, and then helping them interpret these? I guess this
Gotcha.
product in a sense.
So I have a
Yeah.
question about me and you talked about the lady, I know Jessica Daly, and she, from what I understand, because I'm on her newsletter, she kind of focuses
Hmm.
on homes in a certain part of the city. And so I don't know this, but it's packaged and branded as her. So she seems to move like an independent realtor versus
Hmm.
like you're part of Keller Williams. You still have to produce all of the things, but is there a difference in like actually doing it all on your own? Do you have to be attached to something like a Berkshire Hathaway or Keller Williams, or how does that actually go?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I think that speaks to marketing for her particularly. She is a part of a brokerage. She's a part of
Okay,
Compass. But you probably don't see it on. Well, you do see it because we have a requirement to put those things on the marketing.
okay.
But it's probably smaller, like
Hmm.
on the on the marketing.
Got
Um, so, but to answer the question, you do have to be affiliated with a broker. So, to be a licensed agent, once you become a licensed agent, you need to hang your license somewhere. and
Got
affiliate with a broker, unless you're a broker yourself. I have friends that are brokers or they run their own, kind of boutique brokerage and they do it on their own. So is there a benefit to being an independent broker? I guess it depends on what your business model is and what you want to maybe build long term.
okay.
Within, like, just say a larger broker like Keller Williams or Berkshire Hathaway or anywhere like that, you can build a team. Like for me, you know, I have essentially a small team. I have a full time assistant, and I have a like showing partners that I
Right.
utilize. Um, it just depends on the team. Like for me, that works really well because I have another business which is investment. So
Mhm.
my time is not exclusively in helping folks buy and sell. Like I rehab, resell, and then acquire
Yeah.
rentals as well. So that's a whole nother business that I have where I have guys that are HVAC, electrical, plumbers that I, manage relationships with, and I have systems in play to keep my real estate side of the business going, which also helps me to learn more to bring value back to my clients and also provide them resources if they need to sell their house and they need, a new HVAC system or they need these things. I have these resources for them. So for me, being within the brokerage works well because it gives me just enough support. It allows me to be independent. That also allows me to run my other business, which I do full time as well.
Mm.
And that business feeds and provides me more opportunities to learn to bring back to my clients and say, hey, this is what you need to do. This is my unique experience here. These are the contractors that you can use and you should use for this type of thing. So it just kind of feeds itself. And that's why I personally stay in that space where I am with brokerage as opposed to kind of opening my own thing, which would, be different.
It's a whole different thing. Yeah. Nah, so it sounds like it's some flexibility there. And also, I
Mhm.
think what a lot of people are attracted to real estate about or are attracted to real estate for is not just because you can make a lot of money, but how you make the money. So it's multiple streams of revenue that are
Mhm.
that are available, right? Buying, selling, investing.
Mhm.
You can just b- start your own contracting company just because you need to get some contracting done. So I guess
Mhm.
people see the
Property
flow.
management, wholesaling.
There you go, property management, wholesaling. So yeah, do you find that other people in the game get like indecisive or get analysis paralysis around that, or are they trying out too many different things? I'm asking because there may be somebody who's listening to this who may be either trying to figure out which way to get into real estate or already in it and didn't think about it. So like some things work. I mean, I know most of this is based on an individual basis, but which kind of those streams do you think might just the kind of let's the kind of stack rank them. Like, what do you think is like either the easiest to do or the things that are like the most valuable in the space? So
Mhm.
it's two different questions. Which one
Yeah.
is easier to
Hmm.
manage? Yeah,
Which one is easier to manage?
yeah. Which
Um,
stream of revenue?
I
Like which angle?
I would say helping folks buy and sell real estate. Just being
Okay,
if you're an agent, say, hey, I'm not investing, I'm not doing any of that. I'm just looking to help folks buy and sell real estate. I would say I wouldn't use the word easy, but that is the most straightforward.
gotcha,
That's the most straightforward path. And it's kind of and it really it's hard because it depends on like someone's personality and their long term goals too.
gotcha.
Someone may
Yeah,
be really someone may be really into real estate, but are more skilled and would prefer to be property management because there's less, your relationship is with, potential tenants and managing properties, but with a realtor, you are analyzing property values, also managing clients' expectations and coordinating as well. One of the things that I'm kind of overlooking, but you're doing a lot of stuff. So somebody may not want to do all of that stuff.
got
Um,
you.
so it's hard to say which one is better, but I would answer in a different way and say all of them all of them work like crazy. Whichever one you commit to works like crazy because I can go across the industry, people I have relationships with they do one thing. Those folks that do one thing and they only do that, they're killing it in that space. And then a lot of times it aligns with their personality, like
Yeah.
whoever they are. Um, Real estate is one of those things where it it interacts with everyone. Everyone, everyone, not everyone, but most of us live inside.
Hmm.
And you have and that that crosses that intersects with your life in some way. Maybe you're renting, maybe you own the home. If you rent the home, you have a relationship with your landlord. If you own a home, you have a relationship with contractors. It interacts with all of our lives for the most part. So there's something that you can do in relationship to real estate that will serve the large amount of this population.
Got you. And that's something that I found out. That just works in business in general. All business can be $1 million business, but some are just going to
Mhm.
get there faster by way of how much value it creates and
Mhm.
how well it fits you. What they call a founder product fit. Like you hit the type of
Mhm.
person you are can determine how the outcomes are for that business. So I like that. Another thing that I think about when you saying that, and it makes me want to share is I learned this a lot lately in like the last 2 years or so, and get educated on the options that are closest to your situation, right? So like
Mhm.
you can't aspire to be at step H if you just getting started, right? Or I'll use numbers instead. If you're starting at zero, you can't just get to six. Six is an option, but one and two are a lot closer to you, right? It's more relatable, more accessible, and we forget about that because like I mean, you seeing drone footage online of whatever condos and suites, and you got Ryan Serhant just selling all of the real estate, getting all of the
Mhm.
properties. You
Mhm.
might think that that's where you're
Yeah.
gonna come in the game at, but that's not gonna work for most people. So speaking of Ryan, I like
Yeah.
I know Ryan
Yeah.
Serhant from YouTube, and then you got the $1 million listings and all that good stuff. Tell me about how you feel about this about social media. Not how you feel about social media. Have you actually got
Mhm.
any clients from social media?
I have. Yeah, I
That's
have.
what's up.
I
That's
have.
what's up.
Social media is a incredible tool to promote your brand, especially in real estate. You're promoting your brand, you're promoting your clients' success with their buyers when they close on a home. If you're posting a listing video, you're promoting your client's property. So,
Mhm.
I mean, it's great for you and your clients, I think, to be on social media. I think it's a fantastic tool. There's tons of visibility. I think I would say more than I would say more than the clients that I've gotten from social media, and I'm more of just like Instagram, and admittedly I could do a lot more on social media, but I think I do just enough. Well,
Mhm.
not just enough, but I do what works with my temperament
There you
and
go.
what feeds me. But for me, social media is more or less it's more or less a resume. So
Mhm.
whereas like
So
I know younger agents that use TikTok and they bang off on TikTok and they get people that come from, TikTok into direct leads or clients. Whereas me, I'm not on TikTok like that. But there's a lot
yeah.
of people like all my business is repeat and referral. So people will say something like, "Oh yeah, well, yeah, my friend is Gabe. He helped me out with this." And it's like, "Okay, well, here's his Instagram." They check out his Instagram, check out my Instagram, and it almost validates like what they've said in a way. So it's like it makes a conversation, you know, I would say easier, but it's like, okay, well, this is already what I'm about, and this is what I'll provide. So now you've seen it, and now we can talk about getting into a relationship together. So I really like it from that perspective.
Thank you so much for sharing that because I had a
Yeah,
client not too long
yeah,
ago, like early this year, and granted, they're not on your side, they're not a realtor, they're in the wholesale space, and
hmm
it doesn't fit their personality as well. But what it does, it increases what they call like it increases the surface area for luck, which means you get more
hmm
visibility. And like you just said,
that's good.
it's your
Yeah,
resume, it's social proof, and it's not. Yeah, like I know we got AI and we got all of these things, but if you're gonna show up online and you using it as a business tool and a business channel in the real estate space, even at the lower end, it's still worth 1,000 or $2,000 just to show up. Like the margins on like whatever it is, the LTV, like whatever the cost. whatever you selling costs enough for you to just take whatever time it take for you to get online. And I be noticing like people just don't want to do it. I'm not saying everybody gotta get on camera, but the client wasn't really believing that it would work for what they do. And I'm like, well, it always works because you're working. Like he's not a he's actually doing the work. And I was just
Hmm.
explaining to him
Hmm.
that different ways to go about it. And some people have no, like you said, you do enough that works, one, for your personality, for the amount of time that you have, and to produce the results that you actually need. So like you could turn it up if you want and like create other products or something like that, or have some other kind of
Hmm.
avenue with it. But just actually using it put you in the rhythm of something, you use the right strategy, and it can act. This is where people forget, like like a social media manager and an actual strategist. It's not exactly the same. And I'm glad you shared how it works for you. What it does is you get referrals, and now it's like your business card. Like it really is a digital resume.
Right.
You don't have to
Hmm.
get on the phone
Yeah.
and call that person. You just send them a link to your Instagram page, and you're consistent and all up and down your Instagram. It's easier for them to go on Instagram than it is to go to your website nowadays. And so I
A
was just
hundred
trying to
percent.
get, yeah, I was trying to get the
A
person to
hundred percent.
understand that like digital strategy, and this matters across like a lot of service-based businesses. You think what you do is like boring or it don't work. First of all, you get a chance to get all your suits off. You know what I'm saying? We know we know how that go. So you get the double-breasted joint off. You know what I
Yeah, right.
mean? We know how this gonna go. So like
Right.
that's
A little bit of
that's a
that
great
Nordstrom throwback, right?
yeah, right. So that's a great thing, and it's just like you it increases the surface area for luck and gives you more opportunity. So anybody listening to that, like, don't take my word for it, take Gabe's
Hmm.
word for it because he's seen it be effective. And as long as you're actually doing the work, I think that it works as a great tool. So
Yeah, and I love that increases your surface area for luck. I mean, that's great. Like so, you got to be, and I think a lot of people are just used to just kind of hustling, working off of like this social media or off of like without technology, and it's just another lever where you can actually apply, similar pressure, similar, momentum to, like I said, increase your surface area for luck.
yeah. I used to feel like that like early on. I remember tweeting this a long time ago. This was before we had Instagram. I was like, this was very early. I think this is when Odd Future first hit. And what made me think about it is like Tyler was promoting his raps. And so you had to either be on the blog and then the blog was going to post on Twitter. And I was like, yo, the first person
Hmm.
that gets successful offline, you could tell it that you understand what kind of person that is because you could see everything going that way. So a lot of people would start to say like being online is corny because I can get money offline and I'm low key, but really they just trying to protect themselves from whatever level of embarrassment they think is going to come. But like you said, it's just a
Hmm.
different lever that you can pull to get more success and make more impact and make
For
more
sure.
service. Like I haven't been using Instagram as much this year because it is not the frame for what I'm trying to offer to people as well. But when I find the right frame to be in for Instagram and my time aligns, I'm back on Instagram. I need that
Hmm.
access. You know what I'm saying? And it's free.
Sure. Sure.
It
Yeah.
doesn't. It just costs you your time. And yeah, it costs money to invest. Maybe if you invest in strategy, but I'm really glad that you shared that, and we get to see what successful, how success looks using it from your point of view, right? Somebody that's actually in the game. So I think that's not the last question I have. I'm trying to make sure I ask the right best next. I think I have a good question. The listing you just mentioned. Let's talk about that since that's what you got
Hmm.
going on right now. So that is
Yeah.
down in the Canton. Well, I'm not Canton. Federal Hill. What is that listing?
Yeah, so it's a 915 Valencia, and it's in Harborview. So right off of Key
Okay.
Highway. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I like it down there. So when I go run, like sometimes if I run downtown, across the street at Federal Hill, like on the hill, you can look over like at the Four Seasons and all of the
Yep.
homes right there. So you're right by
Yeah.
the water.
I mean, it's fantastic. Like I said, it's literally right on the water. The promenade is right. Like it's literally you step out of your house and the promenade is right there. I mean, it's incredible, especially if someone like yourself likes to run, like you just be outside. I think
Mhm.
downtown views are just amazing there. Walkability is high. This spot has an elevator, which you get a lot. It's like, oh, the townstone, the townhomes are awesome, and yet they have a lot of stairs. This totally solves that for you. It's really almost like resort style living because you got your I mean, you got your gym, you got your covered parking, you got a membership to the marina. It's credible. It's really like city luxury living at its finest. So definitely, if somebody's in the market for a luxury townhome, 917 Valencia, hit me up. Is where you need to be.
Yeah. So that you just took me into the question that was losing, right? Because I love how you broke that down. Like you said, it's resort style living, right? And me and you both, we in the hip hop and we listen to a bunch of different stuff. And people talk about how descriptive Rick Ross is when he's rapping, right? And you can almost see what he's talking about. And like when you
Right.
said that,
Yeah.
like you talked about the promenade, like you're not just describing the features, you're saying like kind of how the features apply to somebody's life. So give me just a quick like marketing rundown. Let's say like somebody wants to sell you their home. How are you looking to
Mhm.
describe it and get it sold, for them? Like what are the things that you're looking for? How are you flipping the features into like
Mhm.
solutions? You know what I'm saying?
Right. 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 I mean, that's that. What you just said is perfect. Like solutions.
Hmm.
Um, Homes are obviously where you live, you enjoy inside, and everybody just assumes that the creature comforts are going to be there, right? So that's set. Now, past the creature comforts, what else comes with this space that doesn't necessarily represent in the value, like the hardcore value of the home? What am I closer? What am I close to? How does it make life easy for me being in this home versus being anywhere else, right? How is life more easy for me here? How is life more exciting for me in this location? And really, really using that to illuminate what's already there and what's already given. Everybody needs a bed, everybody needs a kitchen, everybody needs a bathroom, right?
Yeah.
Most places have those things, right? What around the home, what unique does this property offer that's different from the neighbor next door? So really spending time to think about those things because we're really trying to tell folks how they should live in the space that you're presenting to them because they may not
So
think about it.
yeah, you know what? You already absorbed the job of being a fiduciary. Now you're actually like a
Mhm.
life consultant. Like you gotta walk them through the vision of their life, right?
Right.
You
This is
do.
this this is where you need to be based on what you've described to me. This is what happiness is, right? In your living situation. This offers that. You just got to show up. You just got to show up in this one. So,
There you go.
100%. Yeah.
Nah, I love that, man. And that's the energy we gotta bring. See how you just smiled and showed like that's the energy people gotta bring to business.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I always liked you and we always been cool. And so I'm glad that you was able
Yeah.
to share a lot with me on this podcast today. And I'm gonna wrap it up. Is there anything? Where can everybody find you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm Gabriel Dutton Realtor on Instagram. Text me 443-756-4878. Let's connect. Happy to be a resource for you and all your needs or just generally answer questions for you too. I know sometimes online folks will be like, well, my information isn't free, and yet for me it is free. I got most of it free. I paid some blood, sweat, tears, money for this information. So I'm happy to share it with folks that are interested and curious about real estate and continue to be a resource for them. So please reach out, Gabriel Dutton, Realtor on Instagram.
That and I'm gonna add that to the description for the show, the number and where they can find you online. Gabe, my man, I appreciate you, yo. I really appreciate the fact that you was able to share a bit about the inside of this part of the game and like real estate and being a realtor versus all the other things. And I hope you sell your place, Valencia. I hope you sell the spot on Valencia pretty soon.